I was deeply upset, and it affected me in different ways. I went through bouts of depression, struggled with self-esteem, and battled confidence issues. If there's one person in the music industry who was truly wronged by their own group, it's Spinderella. She dedicated over 30 years of her life to Salt-N-Pepa, bringing her talent, commitment, and skills, only to be dismissed as insignificant, especially by Peppa. When we signed our deal, Salt-N-Pepa received $1.6 million. The truth is, we were not contractually obligated in any way. They took that money and distributed it, but they didn't have to. That's the God's honest truth. But why was Spin excluded in the first place? It never made sense. For years, Salt-N-Pepa was seen as a trio because they did everything as a trio. Spin was introduced to the group by producer Herbie Azor, just before they were set to perform at the Westchester Music Festival in 1986. At the time, their original DJ, LaToya Hansen, had repeatedly missed rehearsals and appearances, leaving the group in need of a replacement. Azor selected Spin as their DJ right around the release of their first album. She was just 16 years old when she joined, requiring her parents' permission to travel for performances. Despite this, the trio went on to become one of the most successful female hip-hop acts of all time. Yes, the group is called Salt-N-Pepa, but Spin was a crucial part of their success. She contributed to 5 studio albums, produced multiple songs, and remained with the group for over 3 decades, appearing on album covers, in music videos, and on stage for reunion tours and Las Vegas residencies. Her role in the group was undeniable. So why was she cast aside? At some point, Salt-N-Pepa decided to part ways with DJ Spinderella, but the way they did it was downright ruthless. Over the years, Salt-N-Pepa have implied that Spin was never a true member of the group, claiming she didn't contribute as much. Sometimes people only ask for Salt-N-Pepa, they said. A lot of times, they request just the 2 of us for interviews or appearances, and Spinderella isn't included. It's out of our hands, but she always blames us, they added. But if Spin wasn't that important, why was she featured on album covers and receiving awards alongside them for decades? Many fans believe that her termination wasn't just a business decision, it was personal. In fact, some say tension had been brewing between Salt-N-Pepa and Spinderella throughout their 30-year partnership. Things became clearer in 2018. That year, New Kids on the Block announced the Mixtape Tour, a celebration of their 3-decade career, with Salt-N-Pepa as a nostalgic 90s draw. The debut show was a success, but Spinderella was nowhere to be seen, despite being advertised as part of the lineup. Then, in May 2019, just before the tour kicked off, Spinderella shocked fans with an announcement on social media. She was no longer part of Salt-N-Pepa. She revealed that she had actually been fired months earlier via email. She wrote, "I'm deeply saddened to share with all the Salt-N-Pepa and Spinderella fans that I will not be performing on the RNKOTB mixtape tour. Despite actively promoting the tour and being publicly listed as part of the lineup, I received a termination email from Salt-N-Pepa in January 2019, excluding me from all performances." Spin went on to express her frustration over how the news was handled. "I expected them to take responsibility for informing the public and other affected parties, but months have passed and they've said nothing." She concluded with a powerful statement. "Out of love for my fans and my commitment to professionalism, I'm speaking up. I refuse to mislead anyone, and honestly, just take a look. It's really not that deep." Despite how she was treated on the show, Spinderella continued working with Salt-N-Pepa over the years, joining them on tours and events. She frequently inquired about payments and was assured she was receiving her fair share. In 2018, she agreed to a Las Vegas residency with the group, scheduled to run through spring 2019. However, she claimed payments were inconsistent and eventually refused to accept inadequate compensation. Then, in January, she received a written termination notice from the band's lawyers. Spinderella alleged that the group failed to provide a full accounting of her rightful earnings, including royalties, merchandise sales, and commercial profits. As a result, she demanded damages, financial transparency, and an injunction preventing Salt-N-Pepa from using her name or likeness. Although the lawsuit was privately settled, another blow came when Salt-N-Pepa released their biopic, excluding Spinderella once again. Understandably, she was deeply hurt. "I have every right not to support it because it didn't support me," she expressed, recalling that they had once dreamed of making a film together. "When those dreams came to fruition, I was left out." She took to Twitter, voicing her frustration over being erased from history. "Too often, Black women who have made meaningful contributions in their industries are left out of historical narratives. Salt-N-Pepa was built on empowering women, yet they chose to disempower me. I was an integral part of the group, and seeing my image used without being included in the film's development is disappointing beyond words. Spin emphasized that silencing another woman was unacceptable, and for that reason, refused to support the project. However, she congratulated the actresses involved, particularly Monique Paul, who portrayed her, and expressed her wish to have shared her true story. Despite the controversy, Spin remained focused on her future. She revealed she was in the final stages of writing her memoir, a candid account of her journey through life, relationships, and the music industry. Fans overwhelmingly sided with Spinderella, acknowledging that she had been an essential part of Salt-N-Pepa's legacy, appearing in music videos, interviews, and performances. Many felt she was unfairly pushed out. In response to the backlash, Salt addressed the situation, stating, "I reached out to Spinderella. It's unfortunate, but we've come to a crossroads and agreed to disagree. Our hearts remain open to her, always have. When it comes to the public, I truly appreciate those who acknowledge that they don't have all the answers. Every story has multiple sides, and we can only hope for some kind of resolution in the future. You never really know, do you?" Yeah, right. People were open to the idea of Spin, but not enough to support her financially. Meanwhile, Pepa chimed in, claiming they did reach out to Spinderella during the film's production. She also noted that the biopic focused on their college friendship, a time when Spin wasn't part of the picture. That, however, was a blatant lie. The film heavily covered their music career, where Spinderella was undeniably a key figure. They simply chose to exclude her. Period. After the biopic's release, Spin openly expressed how emotionally draining the situation had been. She made it clear that the only way forward was for Salt-N-Pepa to acknowledge the business side of things and issue a genuine apology. Not long ago, when asked if she would ever work with them again, Spin responded thoughtfully, I don't want to abandon our legacy. I just mentally have to do what's best for myself, and there has to be mutual respect. That's it." Sadly, Salt-N-Pepa don't seem to feel the same way. To this day, they continue to act as though Spinderella was never an essential part of their journey. But what's the real reason behind their fallout? Was it jealousy, a personal dispute, or was it strictly a contract issue? Honestly, I don't know. But what do you think? Was there more to the story than they're letting on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.